Back in October, I told you guys that it was going to take 9.3 years to get through all the books that I have on the TBR shelves, all the books that I have yet to read. It would take about 9.3 years to read them all. Now, that was 7 months ago. I'm telling you guys, I've made a dent in that, but I've brought in more books. So I would say I've made zero progress. Sandy says read, and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to do a booktube tag, and this is the Are TBRs Fun or Not tag. This originated with Candy over at The Great Literary Rabbit Hole, but I was tagged by Daniela over at Uncommon Reader. Of course, I will put links to those channels and videos in the drop-down box below. I'm going to cough throughout this video. Hang on, just in case I cough throughout this video, so there's going to be some editing. I apologize now for the crazy blips and stuff in the editing. It's just going to happen. I've told you guys on this channel before, I film on the weekends. I do all my filming on the weekends, but I also do yard work on the weekends. So yesterday I was out in the yard getting all that allergy stuff up in my face. So yeah, there's a little bit of allergy response happening today, as well as a tag response. Okay, if you guys would like to do this tag too, there's a hashtag we can use to help each other, find this stuff. The hashtag is hashtag TBR Fun or Not. I'll put that in the drop-down box below, as well as these prompts, as well as links to Candy and Uncommon Reader, Daniela's channels. I'll put that down below. I wanted to mention, when I was watching Candy's video, she was showing, how she had split out some of her to-be-read titles that are coming up, right? She had like 2 stacks of to-be-read books on top of a bookcase of like a mix of books she had read, like Victorian literature books that she had read and others that she's looking forward to reading over the next couple of years. And she has these things sort of separated out, and that was speaking to my soul. So we're going to talk about that breakout of books to be read as we go through this tag, because I do something quite similar. I don't know if I have ADHD. I've just never been diagnosed. I don't know what it is, but I do something similar to that, and then it breaks down. So we're going to talk about that as we go through this tag. Okay, I also wanted to mention, about 7 months ago, it was back in October, I posted a response video here on the channel. It was to the Exposing My TBR tag. Yes, I did a response to a tag that was going around about exposing your TBR. And I'll put a link to that in the drop-down box below. But that was going around as sort of a revision of, or a resurrection of, a tag about TBRs that had happened like a couple years prior. What I'm getting at is, we folks here on Booktube, we like to talk about the books that are still to be read in our collections. We like this, don't we? I mean, we tend to talk about the potential stories that are coming up. We like to do that. And I see that as a very positive thing, a very hopeful thing. When you've got a stack of books like in the corner or on the shelf, I've got 2 TBR trees in my den, in my little library here. Those trees are just full of potential stories waiting for me to read, waiting for me to dive into. Those are potential friends just kind of waiting there in the leaves. Yeah, okay. I think we Booktube content creators enjoy that, I don't know, that hopefulness that's sitting there waiting on us. I don't know, there's just something really hopeful in the idea that we've got books waiting on us to read them. Okay, let's dive into this, shall we? Shall we dive into this tag? Okay, so I've got my notes here in my hand, but I've got the prompts for this tag on the screen. So let me go to that. Okay, prompt number 1. Ta-da. How many books are currently or normally on your TBR? Now, there's 2 ways I could answer this. I don't typically put together a TBR for like the upcoming month. I don't typically do that. Like I don't typically have, here's the 5 books I'm going to read in June. I don't typically do that. I think I used to on this channel, and I would fail miserably. I'm very much a mood reader, and I think one of these questions further down asks us a little bit about that, and we'll go into it a little more deeply. But I don't typically put together a TBR list for like the upcoming month. So my TBR pile, like the number of books currently on my TBR pile, is in my mind the number of books around my house that I haven't read yet. And that number back in October was 336. Yes, it's overwhelming, right? And I had figured out that at that time I was reading a certain number for my Goodreads challenge for 2024. I don't remember how many I had put in my challenge last year. It was the first year I had done the Goodreads challenge, and I don't remember how many. I think I wanted to read 36. I don't remember if that's right. I don't do numbers, you guys. But I did figure out that at that pace, if I was going to read that many per year, it would take me 9.3 years to get through all of the books that I needed to read. Yeah, it was going to take me 9.3 years to read my TBR pile. Here's the thing. If I had just like stopped bringing new titles into the house, I could have been making a dent in that 336 books, right? I could have been making a dent in the TBR pile. I did meet my Goodreads challenge last year. I've set a new challenge this year of only 24 because I knew I could meet it easily. So I've only set a challenge of 24 books to read this year. I'm blowing through that at the moment. But here's the thing. Yes, I'm reading books off my TBR pile. I'm reading books that are on the shelves, but I'm still bringing new books in. I can't help it. I can't stop myself. It's a sickness. It's an illness. It's a disease. It's a good disease to have. But how many books are currently on my TBR pile? Probably still 336. Probably still that huge, huge number. Probably. I did not go through and recount. Shall we move on to prompt number 2? Prompt number 2 is, how do you choose TBR books? And have you ever gamified your TBR with like prompt jars or other games like that, right? Okay. Choosing. I'm very much a mood reader. You guys, very much a mood reader. I have started doing the clock reading challenge, and that helps me choose or select which books I'm going to read. That helps me because I need to read a book with a number in the title for the clock reading challenge. So if I'm staring at all the books on the bookshelves and I'm like, oh, what am I going to read? What am I going to read this week? What do I want? I can go for something with a number in the title to meet that challenge. Or I've got my dragon reading challenge that I do. I can pick a dragon book off the shelf, which always makes me happy. Back in 2024, I did the Christmas reading challenge. I set that one up myself. I wanted to read a whole bunch of Christmas stories and holiday related stories to bring you guys Christmas content. And so toward the end of November and all through December, I was reading Christmas stories like mad. I knew during December I was going to be reading Christmas books, which was fun. I loved that. Usually during the month of September and October, I'll read more horror stories just because, Halloween's coming up and it just feels like the right time of year to read horror. I have a lot of friends who would say you can read horror at any time of year. I agree. A good horror story can, frighten your socks off at any time of year. I will pick up a horror story in October more easily than I would at other times of year. I'm a mood reader. I'm just telling you. Okay. Now, as for gamifying what I'm picking up, I haven't really done games and stuff. There is there is a Booktube content creator I like to follow here on Booktube. Her name is Kaylee, and her channel is Luminous Libro. And she has gone through and wrapped a bunch of books on her shelves and then numbered those books and put slips of paper with corresponding numbers into just like a bowl or a jar, right? And so she will, from time to time, she'll pull out one of those numbers. And then whichever number is on the shelf, she'll go to that book, pull it down, unwrap it on camera, and talk about it for a second. And then she'll read that book next. So she's gamifying it that way. And I thought, what a clever idea. I haven't stolen her idea and done that, because it felt like I like the idea, but it felt like I was, going to steal someone's content idea. So I haven't done that. I've been trying to think of, okay, what's a way that I could maybe take that idea and morph it to make some aspect of it new or different. So I'm not just straight up stealing her content. But I thought that was really clever. I liked that idea. Okay, should we move on to prompt number 3? I've answered number 2. How do I choose TBR books? Whatever strikes my mood, and then if I need something for one of my challenges, I'll grab it. Okay. Number 3, do you have reading areas of focus to choose books for? If yes, how many? Reading areas of focus. I guess yes, to an extent. I've got like my classics section over here, and then I've got some classics on the Bronte shelf that's spilling over, and I've got a fantasy section over here. I've got a Tolkien and Dragon section, and then it's kind of a mishmash. I've got children's and young adults over here. So yes, there are sections in my this is my guest room. There are sections in my library. Yeah, and while I've read quite a number of the books in those sections, there are books intermingled that I have not read, but they fit in there, like they go with the authors. That makes sense? Yeah, I'm sure you get what I'm saying. But then I have a bookcase in the bedroom that is for the reading challenges. Like I've set up a bookcase in there that has a dragon shelf and the clock reading challenge shelf, and the Christmas books are on the clock reading challenge shelf too. So I've got things set up in there so that I can just walk up to that bookshelf and pull something off of it and read. I've over-explained it, haven't I? How many? Okay, so the areas. Oh, you know what? I've got a single shelf in the living room that has like fan fiction books on it. Stargate SG-1, Castle, Star Trek. Those books are in there. And there's a method behind that madness. I used to have a television set. I would say back in 2021 was the last time I had it on. And so I finally just sent it to the recycle center. Like, I'm done with it. But the reason that shelf is in there is because those books are television series books, right? So there was a reason I had the television series books in there near the television set and near like my Stargate DVDs, that kind of thing, right? That was the motif I was going for, right? Yeah. So now I've got that single shelf in there with no television. I should switch that up. I should change it so that shelf, instead of having TV books on it, it should have like Jane Eyre. It should have my favorites on it. I'm not saying the Stargate books aren't my favorites. I'm just saying. Should we move on to prompt number 4? Let's move on. Okay, on my notes, I've got 4 and 5 kind of squished together. So let's see what we have here. Prompt number 4, does a TBR help you focus? And number 5, do you suffer from book noise of a TBR? Okay, so no, I don't. The noise of the to be read pile doesn't bother me. I'm actually kind of happy that it's there. There's, like I said at the beginning of the video, there's always a book. There's always a story. There's always new characters waiting to be met, right? So that's nice. I like that kind of noise. But having the to be read pile, in the past, it has helped me sort of focus here at the channel, but I'm so easily distracted. A new book would come in. I'd be like, oh, I want to read that first. So even if I had a plan for like the month of August to read these 4 books, one of them's going to go out the window because a new one has come in, right? It's just, that's the way that kind of happened. Yeah. Now, having those reading challenges set up, that has kind of helped me focus a bit more. I started doing some reading challenges last year in 2024. That's when I first started the clock reading challenge and the dragon reading challenge. So those 2 challenges, setting up TBRs for those has helped me focus on those things. I can tell that has helped me focus because, when I'm staring at all these shelves, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to read a classic this week? Am I going to read a thriller this week? What am I in the mood for? well, I need to read something from our clock reading challenge. So I'll go into the bedroom and I'll grab something off that shelf. That just helps me focus. Okay, I do need to do this. So here we go. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense at all. Let's move on to prompt number 6. Number 6, do you give your TBR a time limit? And does a TBR make you stress about reading quick enough? Oh, I will say the reading challenges that I started last year did add a little bit of pressure to this whole Booktube concept. They added a little bit of pressure because the Dragon Reading Challenge specifically, well, both the Dragon and the Clock Reading Challenge had deadlines to them. I mean, the Clock Reading Challenge for 2024, you were to read 12 books with the numbers 1 through 12 in the title before the end of the year. So you had a goal, you had a deadline, and I failed. I did fail. I read 10 out of the 12. There were 2 numbers I couldn't locate by the deadline, which I think 10 was nicely done. But then the Dragon Reading Challenge, I was doing that. I set that up for the Year of the Dragon, the Chinese Year of the Dragon. So there was a time limit on that as well. So I was reading as many dragon books as I could bring to you guys before the end of before the next Chinese New Year hit and the Year of the Snake began. But I decided to extend the Dragon Reading Challenge, do it again in 2025, because I just freaking love dragons, okay? And I love dragon books. I want to read more of them. But I did feel some of that pressure. But again, that's self-imposed, right? I mean, that's self-imposed. If I don't get all 12 books of the Clock Reading Challenge done in 1 year, it's not a big deal. I can try again the next year. It's for fun. I mean, I'm not doing this for a class assignment that I'm going to be graded on. It's not going on my permanent record. It's for fun. It's to introduce myself to new stories. It's to introduce myself to new authors. It's to enjoy what I'm doing. So yeah, there is some pressure, but that's self-imposed, and I need to set the pressure aside and just enjoy reading the books. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to number 7. Number 7 says, do you have rebellion syndrome, not wanting to read a book because you put it on your TBR and now you feel you have to read it? I don't think that I have rebellion syndrome. I have felt guilt over putting certain books on my TBR and then discovering that I just can't get into them. And that's a DNF problem. That's not a rebellion problem. No, I don't think I have rebellion syndrome. Number 8, do you keep books on your TBR until they are read or swap the TBR around regularly? It's not regular. This is not a regular thing, but I do swap books around on the TBR. I have some books that, when I realize there's just no way I'm ever going to get to this book, my tastes have changed, or I'm just not into this particular idea anymore, I will send those off to the library. I mean, if they're like a new, nice, good quality condition book, I'll send those to the library. I'll donate those to the library. If they're not as good of condition, I'll donate them to Goodwill. I like to send to the library things that are in really good condition, because they're going to be abused, being checked out and checked out and checked out, right? So I like them to at least start off in really nice condition. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I do swap them out, but it's not a regular thing. Right. Number 9, have you ever killed a book by having it on your TBR too long? And yes, I think that's when they end up going to the library or Goodwill. Yeah, I think that's what happens. Number 10, do you have a tick list for your TBR to tick off books as you read them? Yes and no. Like the 336 that I have around the house. No, not that. Like, I have not gone through and cataloged everything that I have in the house and ticked off, okay, which ones do I still need to read? I have not done that. But when I put together these reading challenges in 2024, I made a couple of lists of, okay, here are the books that I would like to consume for the Dragon Reading Challenge, right? I had that list. And in fact, I put that list for each of the challenges I was doing in my Booktube Word document on my computer. So I had them there and I could, go in and, check them off as I read them. Then as I did the video for them here on the channel. So I knew, okay, I've done this and I've brought it to you guys. I was trying to be organized. Yeah, so that's how I did that. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, number 11. Number 11. What one change do you think would help your TBR be more fun? One change to be more fun. I wrote nothing down for that. So I guess I don't know. I don't know. One change to be more fun. I think the TBRs are pretty fun as they are. I mean, I just grab something off the shelf, sit down, dive into a new world. That's fun to me. Maybe gamifying it. Maybe that would be more fun for you guys out there, but I just haven't put thought into how to gamify doing the TBR. Yeah. Because I would like for there to still be some choice in the matter. One of these channels was talking about that, and it might have been Candy's, was talking about having choice in how you gamify it. Like, for example, when Kaylee pulls that number out of the jar and the number corresponds to one of those books on the shelf, she pulls it down, she unwraps it, and that's the book she's going to read next. There's not a lot of choice in that. She's selected that number out of the jar. Now she's going to read that book next. Okay. There's no choice in that. She's made her selection. The numbers have spoken for her. And I don't know if I have enough discipline to say, okay, now that's the one I'm going to read next, and then read it and get all the way through it without being distracted by some other shiny object. That makes sense. I mean, having some choice in, okay, maybe I would need to pull 2 numbers and then decide which of the 2. I am very much a mood reader. All right, prompt number 12, the final one, final conclusion. TBRs, fun or not? And then tag some people. I think the to be read pile concept is fun. I think the idea of having books waiting on the shelf with their stories ready to be discovered is fun. I think it is good. It is positive. It is hopefulness. It is a good thing. But then I use reading for escape. I love to escape into another world and just be carried away. Even nonfiction, I'm going into it and I'm learning something, usually, right? In a nonfiction book, I'm usually learning something, finding out some new nugget of information I did not know before. So there's always something good in a book. Yeah, so I think that having the TBR pile out there is a fun concept. It is a good thing. And any way that we can gamify it or make it exciting to figure out, okay, what am I going to read next? That is a good, fun thing. I do believe so. I have been overwhelmed by the thought of the TBR pile in this house. I have been. I would be silly if I didn't admit that. There have been times when I'm like, 300 books. I've got over 300 books in this house that I haven't read yet. And the idea of, oh my gosh, that's a lot to think about over the rest of my lifetime. How am I going to read all those books? And then I go and bring in another one. What is wrong with me? Well, there's nothing wrong with me. I just have all those potential stories, all that potential excitement, all that potential adventure is all around me. It's all around me in this house. And that is cool. That's not overwhelming. That's awesome. At the beginning of this, or near the beginning of this, I mentioned that on Candy's channel, when she was talking about this originally, she had 2 stacks of books that she had pulled off her shelves to be read over the next couple of months. And those were sitting on top of a bookcase of books that were to be read. Some had already been read and some were to be read over the next couple of years. And I do something similar to that, in that I will pull a couple of books off the shelves, from this room or from wherever in the house. I'll pull a couple of books off the shelves that I want to read over the next few weeks. And I will set those on a table in the bedroom. I'll set them on the table and they're just stacked up there. And I have best intentions of reading them. I don't bring them to you here on the channel because, as I mentioned, I don't like to do those sort of prognosticating videos anymore because I know I'm not going to do it. I know I'm going to change my mind. And it is what happens. I'll have those, let's say there's 5 books, on that table, and I'll pick one of them off the top and I'll be reading it. And while I'm reading it, another book comes into mind, or I'll see someone here on Booktube talking about another book. And I'm like, oh, hey, I have that book and I don't remember if I've read it or not. And I'll go get it off the shelf. And now I've got these 2 books that I'm reading. And this one wasn't even on that table, right? It wasn't one of the 5. Yeah, that starts happening. So those 5 books, they shift and they morph and they change over the month that I'm reading. Those 5 titles don't remain the same over the month. Like I'll add some to it, I'll take one away. Things like that happen. So I see what Candy was doing by having those 2 stacks of to-be-read books that she's pulled off of the shelves. I see that. I do that. But I fail at that. Build that stack, but then that stack will change. So yeah, that's happening in my life. That's how I treat the TBR pile. And even though, like I just said, I love having all those adventures all around me and waiting to be discovered and waiting to be read or even reread, that stack changes. That list of adventures around me, it morphs and it changes and it doesn't stay the same. Even when I pull it off the shelf and try to build the adventure, that choose your own adventure style of life that I'm going through, it changes, it moves, it morphs. You guys, that's it for the tag. I don't know that I'm going to tag anyone in particular out there. I might go ahead and tag Joe Linsdell because I don't believe that she has done, I don't believe she's done this. I didn't see it on her channel when I was looking through some of these. So Joe, I will tag for sure. I'll throw a couple of other booktubers in the drop-down box below. We'll tag a couple of other booktubers. I won't throw anyone. I will tag a couple of other booktubers in the drop-down box below to see if some other folks want to participate in the TBRs Fun or Not tag. You all, thumbs up for the adventures that are awaiting us all around. Thank you for tuning in.